Let's just say the ratings aren't the same with Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever now eliminated. Game 1 of the Aces Liberty matchup on Sunday drew an average of 929. However, that was down nearly 50% from last Sunday's Fever Sun contest. By the way, not only was viewership down, but attendance was as well.
Can you believe it? WNBA playoff tickets are now cheaper than a movie ticket. Just weeks ago, fans were shelling out hundreds, even thousands of dollars to see Caitlin Clark play. Now you can grab a seat for $10. What happened?
Tickets were going for around $100. Now, for any other major sporting event, the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, the NHL maybe, $100 tickets, that would be considered a bargain. Hell, in most cases, $100 tickets do not exist. The most expensive seats to see Caitlin Clark were selling for over $4,000. When she played Angel Reese in the regular season, average ticket was selling for $300. Normally, the Chicago Bravado, they'll let you in for free to see Angel Reese.
Imagine paying more for popcorn than your WNBA playoff ticket. That's our reality now. It's like the league went from gold to dust overnight. Remember, those 4,000 courtside seats for Clark's playoff debut, they're now going for $100. That's not a typo.
As the team progresses through the playoffs, tickets get more and more expensive, which is why I was incredibly confused to see tickets at the Target Center in Minnesota selling for as low as $10.
$10. You could buy a whole row and still have money for snacks.
According to StubHub, seats that are damn near courtside, they're going for $65. You can sit directly behind the female Suns bench for $60. I noticed that the upper bowls of the Target Center were unavailable. I wonder why. They're not offering tickets in those sections because they can't sell the damn seats in the lower bowl.
But it gets worse. The arenas. They're like ghost towns. Take the Minnesota Lynx versus Connecticut Sun. Game an arena built for 20,000 fans, barely filling 9,000 seats. It's like watching a sold-out concert turn into an open mic night with about 60% of the seats empty.
All I know, when they got eliminated from the playoffs, the attendance dropped, the ratings dropped. Now I wouldn't need to know. Because it's the old guard, and it's this and that. So what's the reason now?
Now you might be thinking, what's the WNBA doing about this ticketing disaster? Well, that's where it gets really interesting. Their response, it's not what you'd expect. In fact, it's got everyone talking. But before we get into that, let's break down how we got here in the first place. You're probably wondering how the WNBA ended up in this mess. Well, it all comes down to a phenomenon called the Caitlin Clark effect. What exactly is it, and why did it leave the league so vulnerable?
Because they try to give you every other reason why. So now give me the reasons why. She's gone. Is the old guard still watching? Why aren't these fans? If the WNBA is more, it is, and I get it. Why aren't people watching?
Caitlin Clark isn't just any player. She's a basketball sensation that took the WNBA by storm when she stepped onto the court. It wasn't just a game, it was an event. Fans weren't just buying tickets, they were snatching up a chance to witness history in the making.
Well, I focused on two basic measures, and that's just attendance and the ticket price. And if you just look at those two things and ignore even merchandise sales, spending on restaurants and concessions and lodging, you're already at an unbelievable number.
Clark didn't just play basketball. She put on a show that had fans reaching for their wallets. Faster than you can say three-pointer, her presence has even given a boost to the economy, as her games draw in massive crowds, filling stadiums and sparking local businesses with a surge of activity.
If you look before Caitlin, the attendance was around 5,000. Since Caitlin, she sold out every game this year. So that's an increase of about 10,000 tickets per game. The average ticket price has gone up, say roughly $100. So that right there is looking at $1 million per game. And so if you take that times 14 home games, that's $14 million. And that's not even considering anything else.
But Clark's impact went far beyond just filling seats. She became a beacon of hope for a league that's been fighting for attention. In a crowded sports landscape, the WNBA has always had incredible talent. But Clark brought something extra, a spark that ignited interest from casual fans and diehards alike.
But you have this Caitlin Clark that sets the college basketball world ablaze, then wants to take her talents to the WNBA. All she wants to do is play basketball, bring more eyeballs to all the teams, and she wants to be a role model for all young women to say, if you work hard enough, you can do what I'm doing, and let's work together to grow this game. That's all she wants to do.
Think about it. When was the last time you saw WNBA tickets selling for thousands of dollars? Clark made that happen. She didn't just elevate her team, she lifted the entire league. Suddenly, the WNBA was the talk of the town. Sports bars were buzzing with chatter about women's basketball. Social media was flooded with Clark's highlights. It was like the league had found its own personal supernova.
Because when you look at the numbers with Caitlin Clark there, her first playoff game, drawing 1.84 million viewers. Ridiculous numbers. The highest rated playoff game since Game 2 of the 2000 WNBA Finals. This wasn't even just an opening round game back in 2000. This was one of the finals games. So this clearly is showing how much of an impact Caitlin Clark is having. A total of 22 WNBA games clocked north of 1 million viewers. That surpassed the standing record of 15 games set in 1998.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Clark's popularity wasn't just good for ticket sales. It was a lifeline for a league struggling to find its place in the sports world. The WNBA has always faced challenges from low salaries compared to the NBA to struggles with TV ratings, ticket sales, and viewership. But with Clark on the court, it felt like those problems were fading into the background. In fact, she increased ticket sales by 93%.
Bear with me. Ticket sales grew in 2023 by 16% from 2022. Ticket sales have grown by 93% in 2024. What that means is without Caitlin Clark, the WNBA would have taken till 2029 or 2030 to get to where Caitlin Clark has gotten them today. Before the 2023 season, the WNBA had grown by 40% viewership from 2022 to 2023. But with Caitlin Clark's arrival, it's grown by 400%.
For a moment, it seemed like the WNBA had struck gold. They had a superstar who could draw crowds, spark conversations, and maybe even change the game's perception. It was more than just hype. It was hope that the league could finally break through and become a major player in the sports world.
But no Caitlin Clark now for the WNBA playoffs means what?
Is the old guard still watching? Why aren't these fans? If the WNBA is more, it is, and I get it. Why aren't people watching?
You say the ratings have dropped since Fever had been eliminated?
Yes. Look at the attendance when the Fever play your favorite team, and look at the attendance when they don't.
But here's the thing about relying on a single star. What happens when that star isn't shining? That's exactly what the WNBA is grappling with. Now, Clark's exit from the playoffs didn't just mean lower ticket prices. It exposed a fundamental weakness in the league strategy.
Because things went from bad to worse. Sunday night, the Lakers and the Female Suns were on ESPN. Now keep in mind, the Female Suns were averaging close to 2 million viewers when they were playing against Caitlin Clark. These are the same Female Suns that claim Caitlin Clark is not the only draw in the WNBA. Sunday night against the Minnesota Lakers, 654,000 viewers. Since Caitlin Clark was eliminated from the playoffs, WNBA ratings have declined 50%.
You see, the Caitlin Clark effect wasn't just about one player being really good at basketball. It was about the WNBA putting all its eggs in one basket. They hitched their wagon to Clark's star, and when she bowed out of the playoffs, they were left scrambling.
Let's take those numbers, 1.84, 2.54 million, and compare them to the first weekend of playoff action without Caitlin Clark in the mix. The numbers were nowhere near what they were with Caitlin Clark.
Now the league is facing some tough questions. How do you build sustainable interest? When your biggest draw is on the sidelines, can the WNBA create a system where multiple players capture the public's imagination? Or are they doomed to ride this roller coaster of hype and let down with each new sensation? It's not just about Clark, though her meteoric rise and the subsequent fall in interest highlight a bigger issue the WNBA needs: to find a way to capture and keep fan attention with or without a superstar dower. They need to create a product that's compelling enough to stand on its own and keep the fans entertained, regardless of who's on the court.
Products are being introduced. So for example, Fantasy WNBA Basketball is a new initiative that our partners over at ESPN launched just this year. And I gotta say, the buzz is huge.
Let's talk money, because that's where the real drama is happening. The WNBA's wallet is looking thinner than a rookie. Playbook players are eyeing overseas opportunities like their all-star spots. Why? Because the pay is better, plain and simple. Can you blame them when you're trying to make a living, playing the game you love? You've got to go where the money is.
With the WNBA season ending for many teams, there are already so many players heading overseas to play during the off-season. But with all of the drama currently surrounding the WNBA, on top of the low-paying salaries, some of these players are questioning if they'll even return.
The WNBA's broadcast game is taking a serious hit. Playoff games are being moved from ESPN to ESPN2. It's like being bumped from the VIP section to the nosebleed seats. This downgrade isn't just a blow to the ego. It's a sign that the big networks aren't confident in the WNBA's ability to draw a crowd.
When I saw this video, it made me happy because I'm very glad that this is now public knowledge. Like, Caitlin never talked about this through the entire season, and I'm glad that Allison came out and told us what was going on behind the scenes. But at the same time, it also made me sad because, like we've talked about in many other videos, Caitlin Clark, it seems like this entire season, she was the solution for so many things.
Now, you might be wondering, how did we get here? It's a perfect storm of high expectations and harsh realities. Players are demanding more. And rightfully so, they're world-class athletes putting on a show night after night. But the league, they're struggling to make ends meet. It's like trying to buy a Ferrari on a used car budget. You might be wondering, what could possibly turn things around for the WNBA? Now, it's not just about finding the next Caitlin Clark. It's about building a league full of stars who keep you on the edge of your seat. Imagine tuning in, never knowing which player will deliver an unforgettable performance. That's the kind of excitement the WNBA needs to create.
Caitlin got all of this exposure. She's getting endorsements because she's unique. It's like Steph Curry's unique. Tiger Woods unique. Not everybody gets it just because, hey, I put in 10 years in the WNBA or the PGA Tour or the NBA. It doesn't work that way. It's supply and demand. Do they want to buy your shoes or do they not? Do they want to play your basketball? Do they want to play with the Wilson? I mean, that's what this is about.
Consider this. The NBA doesn't just focus on LeBron James. They highlight stars like Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and Giannis Anoka. There's a whole roster of big names. That's what the WNBA needs. They should be building up rivalries, crafting compelling storylines, and turning every game into a must-see event.
We actually had a chance to ask both of them pregame about the rivalry, and they both have very
Differing
let's
of
see.
opinions of it.
No, not differing, Shay. They both agree that it's great for the sport. Like, they haven't made it a personal thing, but they know that the eyeballs show up when they're about to play.
The WNBA's future isn't just about recruiting fresh talent. It's about crafting storylines that draw fans in and keep them coming back. Think about how people binge watch their favorite shows. That's what the WNBA needs to capture, making every game feel like the next thrilling episode in a can't-miss series.
What you need to do is to appear at more basketball games, okay? To be on TV. Maybe start a WNBA reality show. Women love reality shows, okay? Again, that's one of the two things keeping cable television afloat right now. Reality TV and sports. If you could somehow meld the two together and let us get to know you a little bit more, I'm sure lots of women would be like, holy shit, and get behind you, okay? Like, it would be amazing.
Now, let's talk about rivalries. Remember the Magic versus Bird days in the NBA? That's the kind of excitement the WNBA needs to create when two incredible players face off. It's not just a game, it's an event. That's how you keep fans hooked, even when the biggest star isn't on the court.
There is no one like Caitlin Clark in the history of the WNBA. I mean, you had somebody who was the all-time leading scorer in college basketball history who plays for Las Vegas, and nobody talked about her. Nobody talked about Kelsey. Wonderful player. Nobody talked about her. Caitlin Clark is just different.
Let's break it down. The WNBA is walking a tightrope right now. On one side, you've got players demanding what they deserve on the other. A league struggling to keep the lights on. It's like watching two sides of the same coin, fighting each other, but hold up, it's not time to write the obituary just yet. The WNBA's got a secret weapon, and it's been right under their nose this whole time. Remember that Caitlin Clark Magic, the league, needs to bottle that excitement and spread it around, not just for one player, but for the whole darn league.
I'd have taken Caitlin Clark and brought her to another city, whatever it may be. And I know it's a layup, no pun, to have it in Indiana. They're going to get a monster turnout. But I'd rather have her on the road, bringing her game and everyone else's game to another city.
Imagine walking into a WNBA game and feeling the same buzz you get at a playoff matchup every single game. That's what the league needs to aim for. They've got to make each game an event, something you can't miss. It's about creating an atmosphere that gets fans off their couches and into the arenas. The clock's ticking. And the WNBA needs to score big before the final buzzer. They've got the talent, they've got the passion. Now they just need to find a way to package it all up and deliver it to the fans in a way that keeps them coming back for more
year-to-year attendance. The WNBA has called for growth for several years. Taking a look back at the last 20 years, they've unfortunately been met with a stalemate. But enter 2024 and the Caitlin Clark effect.
Can you believe we're talking about the WNBA survive? Ral, it's crazy, but here we are. The league is at a crossroads, and it's all eyes on what happens next. Caitlin Clark showed us what's possible. She lit up the court and had fans going wild, but now it's up to the WNBA to keep that fire burning.
The league has without a doubt been elevated by the attention and spotlight brought in by the logo shooting guard from Indiana by way of Iowa. Has even done that once. So if we take a look at this line chart, we can see the dip in 2021 because of COVID and then this huge spike in 2024. So if we look at this chart for the 2024 season, the Indiana Fever are pretty much blowing out every other team. They are averaging almost 16,000 per 39 games. So this is taking into consideration not only the Indiana Fever home games, but also when they are on the road. Their lowest attendance was around 6,000 people, and if you look at the rest of the league, everybody else is around.
So what's it gonna be? Will the WNBA step up and turn things around? Or are we watching the final season of a league that could have been so much more? The clock's ticking and the ball's in their court.
So what's it going to be? Will the WNBA step up and turn things around? Or are we watching the final season of a league that could have been so much more the clocks ticking and the balls in their court?